Today, we're exploring a topic that has fascinated, divided, and at times alarmed people across the globe: Christian Zionism. What is it? Where did it come from? And why does it matter? Our guide for this exploration is the thought-provoking book, Christian Zionism: Roadmap to Armageddon, by Stephen Sizer. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through history, theology, and politics that will challenge your perspectives and ignite your curiosity. Our story begins in the early 19th century, a time of great upheaval and change. The Napoleonic Wars had reshaped Europe, and the world was on the brink of the Industrial Revolution. Amidst this turmoil, a new movement was taking shape, one that would have profound implications for the Middle East and beyond. This movement was Christian Zionism, and it all started with a group of British evangelical leaders who were deeply influenced by a literal interpretation of the Bible. These leaders, like Louis Way and Charles Simeon, were driven by a belief in the literal restoration of the Jewish people to their ancient homeland, Palestine. They saw this as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy and a precursor to the second coming of Christ. Their passion was fueled by a premillennial eschatology, which taught that the world was heading towards a period of tribulation before Christ's return. But it wasn't just about theology. These leaders were also politically savvy. They lobbied European heads of state, including Tsar Alexander I of Russia, to support the establishment of a Jewish homeland. One of the most influential figures was Lord Shaftesbury, who saw the restoration of the Jews as not only a biblical mandate, but also a strategic advantage for British foreign policy. He believed that a Jewish homeland in Palestine would give Britain a colonial edge over France and open up new markets for British goods. Fast forward to the late 19th century, and we see the rise of Theodor Herzl, the father of political Zionism. But here's where it gets interesting. Herzl's vision was not solely a Jewish endeavor. It was heavily influenced by Christian Zionists like William Haekler, who saw the Zionist movement as a fulfillment of God's plan. Haekler even helped Herzl gain access to key political figures, including the German Kaiser and British politicians. As the Zionist movement gained momentum, so did Christian Zionism, particularly in the United States. John Nelson Darby, a key figure in the development of dispensationalism, played a crucial role in spreading these ideas across the Atlantic. Darby's teachings emphasized a rigid distinction between Israel and the Church, and he believed that the Jewish people would return to their homeland before or after their conversion, but remain separate from the Church. This dispensationalist perspective was popularized by Cyrus Scofield, whose Scofield Reference Bible became a cornerstone of American evangelicalism. Scofield's notes reinforced the idea that the promises made to Abraham were unconditional and eternal, and that the modern state of Israel was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. But what does this mean for the Middle East? For Christian Zionists, the implications are profound. They believe that the land of Israel, including the occupied territories, belongs exclusively to the Jewish people. This conviction has led to strong support for Israeli settlements in opposition to any peace deals that would require Israel to relinquish territory. Christian Zionists also believe that Jerusalem is the eternal and undivided capital of the Jewish people. They vehemently oppose any proposals for joint sovereignty or the creation of a Palestinian capital in East Jerusalem. This stance has significant political ramifications, as Christian Zionists have lobbied Western governments, particularly the United States, to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Christian Zionism is its belief in the rebuilding of the Jewish temple. Dispensationalists argue that the temple must be rebuilt because the Antichrist will desecrate it just prior to Christ's return. This belief has led to support for organizations like the Temple Mount Faithful, which seeks to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Dome of the Rock to make way for a new temple. But here's where things get even more complicated. Christian Zionists are convinced that there will be an apocalyptic war between good and evil in the near future. This belief in an imminent Armageddon leads them to oppose any peaceful resolution of the Arab-Israeli conflict. They argue that such efforts are futile and even rebellious against God's plans. This brings us to a critical question. What does the coming of Jesus Christ mean for the traditional Jewish hopes and expectations concerning the land and people? Christian Zionists seem to believe that Jesus' coming made little or no difference to the nationalistic and territorial aspirations of first-century Judaism. They read the Old Testament in the same way the first disciples did before Pentecost, viewing the kingdom of Jesus as a postponement rather than a fulfillment of Jewish hopes. In doing so, Christian Zionism distorts the Bible and marginalizes the universal message of grace and justice. It provides a theological endorsement for racial segregation, apartheid, and war, which is diametrically opposed to the inclusive theology of justice, peace, and reconciliation at the heart of the New Covenant. So what are the implications of all this? Well, for one, Christian Zionism has become a powerful force in American politics. Conservative estimates suggest that the movement is at least 10 times larger than the Jewish Zionist movement and has become the dominant lobby within contemporary American politics. But beyond politics, Christian Zionism has profound and lasting consequences for the Middle East. It justifies the oppression of Palestinians, fuels anti-Arab sentiments, and demonizes Islam. It also commits the Jewish people to an apocalyptic future that is far more horrifying than even the Holocaust. As we conclude this episode, I want to leave you with a thought. Is there an alternative to Christian Zionism? Can we envision a form of biblical Zionism that accepts the existence of the State of Israel, but works and prays for peace and security for all people in the region? I believe the answer is yes. We can recognize the Jewish people's unique role in history, and hope that one day many will come to recognize Jesus as their Messiah, while also affirming that the Church is Israel renewed and restored in Christ, embracing people of all nations. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope this episode has sparked your curiosity and encouraged you to think critically about the forces shaping our world. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep seeking the truth.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Christian Zionism, Roadmap to Armageddon by Stephen Sizer. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.